We're going to start a new video series today, which was actually inspired by a fellow YouTuber, Doctor Who YouTuber, Paul Bailey, who does a really good series where he is ranking the seasons of Doctor Who from his least favorite to his favorite, with one per week. That's a fascinating idea. I need to get caught up on that, by the way. Paul does some great videos. I enjoy watching his stuff. So I thought, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I want to try that. So I'm going to do a ranking series. And it's going to cover different things, but the first thing I want to do is the seasons. All of Doctor Who, from worst to best, every season. We're going to have a couple extra entries because I am going to count the 2009 specials as a season, and I am going to count the 50th anniversary specials as a season. So like Night of the Doctor, Day of the Doctor, Time of the Doctor, Adventure Time of Space, The Last Day, etc., 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 as a season. So we're going to have about 41 videos to do at this point, and we'll see how that grows. Yeah, so we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up, just kind of do one video per week. Man, I don't know what, I haven't picked a day, maybe Saturday, every Saturday will be that. And I'll talk about why I feel the way I do about each season. It's a wonderful idea, Paul. I really like this idea. Starting off in 41st place at the very bottom of the list is Series 11 of Modern Doctor Who. It is easily the worst series Doctor Who has ever done. Now, before we start ripping it apart, there are some good ideas here. Let me say from the beginning, there are good ideas. I've talked about this in another video not long ago. I like that it doesn't bring any classic villains back. Classic villains are way overdone in modern Doctor Who, especially the big three, Dalek, Cyberman, Master. So I like the fact they try to do new villains. The problem is, all the new villains suck. They're not good. They're not interesting, they're not memorable, nobody cares. We'll circle back to that. I like the fact that they tried to harken back to classic Doctor Who, the early days of Doctor Who with the multiple companions. I like that in theory, on paper. The problem is, it doesn't work. Because modern Doctor Who in 2018, 2020, 2022, modern audiences are different than audiences in the 60s, and television goes at a much faster pace now. It's one of the reasons why a lot of younger people that only watch the modern series, for them the classic show just runs at a glacier's pace, which, to be fair, some of them, like Ambassadors of Death and Web Planet, do. But for them, I mean, even a four-parter is a struggle to get through, because that's just how things were made back then. And so you don't really have time with three companions to flesh them out. Plus you have to flesh out the Doctor. Sometimes the Doctor feels like the guest star in her own show, because you have the Doctor you're having to flesh out, because it's a brand new Doctor, and boy are they doing a terrible job of that in this series. You have all of the companions you're trying to flesh out. They don't do a very good job of that either. And then you have all of the guest stars in each episode that need to be fleshed out. The end result is you don't know much about anybody. Like at the end of Series 11, you know what I knew about Yaz? Nothing. I knew nothing. She was a police officer, apparently, and at the time I thought she might have a thing for Ryan. Graham, kind grandfatherly type, used to drive buses, really loved Grace. To be honest, I connected more with Grace than I did Yaz or Ryan. I liked Grace. Ryan, pretty confident, wasn't quite sure about his granddad. Had the little balance issue that he remembered he had, once every 3 episodes or so. And then the Doctor. She's pretty much a blank slate. She is more self-confident in this series. I will admit that. She does have more self-confidence in this series, as opposed to Series 12 and 13. Basically, the events at the end of Spyfall, I think, break her really bad, which is understandable. But I like how more confident she is here. Whitaker still has a lot of problems with the role. The writing's not doing her any favors, but she does struggle in the role. I will not give her a pass just because she's a female. I'm not going to sit there and just slam her because she's a female or anything. But she doesn't get a free pass for being a female. You're not breaking new ground and breaking glass ceilings if you can't play the part well for me. I don't go into this going, well, let's see if this woman doctor is any good. I would go into this going, let's see if the new person playing the doctor can measure up to the other doctors. And she isn't. She doesn't. Gender doesn't play into it. She just doesn't. Her acting abilities do not fit into the role. And she's done no favors by having 3 companions. Now, if she'd only had 1 or 2 companions, she might have had time to develop more, and also maybe giving Whitaker a little more time in the role, because she does grow into the role. She gets better as she goes on. She's rarely amazing. She does have a couple moments, but rarely. This is the doctor that she's the blandest to me, even more than the 5th Doctor. You know, the 5th Doctor really plays it safe. He's very vanilla. He's a bit bland, but Whitaker beats that. She's very blah. The stories are uninteresting for the most part. I don't care for most of them. Tim Shaw is a terrible villain. He is crap. He's supposed to be kind of the big bad for Series 11. You know, the big bad for the opener, the big bad for the season. And it seems like they're setting his people up to be even more dangerous than other seasons. That doesn't go anywhere because everybody knows he's crap. I like when he's in his full armor because he kind of gives you these Predator vibes. You know, like the Predator assassin or something. He doesn't live up to that. And then when he takes off the mask, the thing with the teeth, the Tim Shaw jokes, which in a bubble are funny, but does nothing to make him intimidating. He's not memorable. He is the most forgettable seasonal villain I think I've ever seen. The Shadow in the Armageddon Factor is way more threatening and intimidating to me. Like I said, he does all right at the beginning when he has the helmet on, but once the helmet comes off and he starts talking to the doctor, the doctor's speeches in that episode, her speeches a lot of times don't sell me. Her speech at the end, now leave this planet while you still have a choice, it isn't bad, but it isn't great. It's just kind of, okay, I'm not quite feeling it. Good effort, but not quite feeling it. Although her speech at the end, when she's talking about family, very reminiscent of the 2nd Doctor. You know, her family, even though they're gone from this world, they're not gone from me. That's a great speech. That's a really great speech. Really reminds me of the 2nd Doctor from Tomb of the Cybermen when he's talking to Victoria. So she does deliver that speech well. The Ghost Monument's probably my favorite episode of the season. I do like that one a lot. I love the guest cast. Again, the doctor in it's not that great, very uninteresting. Telling Ryan not to use weapons, even though the doctor uses weapons all the time, because the 13th Doctor is very much a do as I say, not as I do doctor. Very much so. But I do like the episode. The guest cast sell it. Even Graham and Ryan are good in it. I mean, sort of. I like the stuff with the living bandages. I've talked about that before. That's cool. I like the guy who's running the race. He's serious and funny at the same time. And I like that the Ghost Monument is the TARDIS. I saw that coming. So I do like that episode. Talked about how Rosa was unnecessary before. Not going to go into that. Arachnids in the UK. There are these people who defend Series 11. And this is the episode I point to and go, how do you defend that? I mean, Planet of the Spiders is a better Doctor Who episode. And it has some classic Who-looking spiders. And it's still better than this. It doesn't go anywhere. It's not that intimidating. It has a couple moments that are, oh, that's pretty creepy, neat. It has the Trump guy who's obviously a Trump guy. And yay, that's what I need, the British people lecturing me about my politicians. Thanks, Britain. And then the end result, when he tries to shoot the creature and give it the painless death, the doctor's like, no, you inhuman monster, let's let it suffocate anyway. That's a much better way to die. I don't want to get shot. Just suffocate me for a while. Yeah, isn't that so much nicer and better? Again, the doctor's, this doctor's very much, we can't shoot it. We have to let it suffocate. Dum-de-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. Dum 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 dum. That's going to be a common theme, I think, for this video. Yeah, Arachnids in the UK is one of the worst episodes of Doctor Who ever made. Probably one of the top 10 worst. Then you have the Subaru conundrum, or what is it with this season and stupid episode names? This is an episode that could have been good, because you could have made it scary and went with a horror angle. Think something like Midnight, or something like Alien, the original 1979 Alien, and been creepy and atmospheric. And they thought about that probably and went, no, I'm Chris Chibnall. I have something totally different. And instead we're going to do a little thing I like to go, dum 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 dum. Yes, indeed. Instead we got this overly lit episode that I've only watched once, and God help me, I don't ever watch it again. Unless just one of my patrons wants to torture me. And then we get the Patine. And of course we have the crew, like the pregnant man. Yeah, I'm just on the edge of my seat in terror. And the Patine spitting up the sonic screwdriver. It's like they're trying to do their own version of Baby Yoda. Yes, this episode has a huge shortage of terror. Then we had, Demons of the Punjab. I've only watched that one once, and I remember liking it. But it strikes me as a Yaz episode, and I don't think it does a very good job of being a Yaz episode if I feel like her grandmother gets more character development than she does. Her grandmother gets more character development in that episode than Yaz does the whole series. But I enjoyed it on my first viewing. I don't know if it'll hold up to a rewatch. Kerblam, I liked on my first viewing. It wasn't a masterpiece. This series doesn't have a masterpiece. But it was my favorite of the series for a while. It deserves a rewatch. I have considered giving it a rewatch. And every time I pull it up on the TV, I'm like, or I could do something else. And I usually do that because it feels like a better use of my time. I could sit on the couch and stare at the TV turned off. Better use of my time. Then we had the Witchfinders. Didn't really care for that one. Love the guy playing King James, though. He makes the episode watchable. Love the guy. And this thing he has for Ryan is... I love that. He makes the episode watchable. To be fair, the woman playing the kind of stick in the mud in this one, she does a good job. As an actress, she does a really good job here. I don't like some of the effects choices they make, like the mud people. I don't really care for that. That's just a stylistic choice I don't like. And the ending I find uninteresting. I don't like the episode, but it's watchable, even though I haven't watched it more than once. And then we have the one with the frog. It Takes You Away, is that it? This is an episode I like in concept. Because it feels like a very Doctor Who episode with there being another form of kind of universe that's sentient, but it can't interact with our universe and it can be lonely. Seems like a good Doctor Who concept. And the little area in between the mirror universe, where they travel through the mirror, that little area in between. Again, interesting concept. Executed terribly, terribly, for a multitude of reasons I won't get into. But the ending is the Doctor talking to a frog, which is absurd in a bad way. It's like it's supposed to be absurdist. It's absurd, all right. Dum 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 dum. And then, of course, we have the season finale, the Battle of Who Gives a Crap, which is, I gotta admit, it's an aptly named episode. I'll give it that. That is what it's called, right? I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I don't care for this one either. I've watched it twice, I want to say. I've either watched all of it once and then the end of it twice, a second time, or I watched all of it twice. I don't care. This is literally the Doctor causing the problem. This is the long game in Bad Wolf all over again, where the Doctor screwing up earlier in the series leads to this. She let Tim Shaw go or send him back in the first episode, and now we have to deal with it here. Great job, First Doctor, in your very first episode. You screwed up, and you have to clean up your mess here. Other than it bringing Ryan and Graham together a little bit, and of course it rips off a way better Doctor Who episode, The Pirate Planet. Those of you familiar with the Pirate Planet will know exactly what I'm talking about. It rips off a plot point straight from The Pirate Planet. So it's very much trying to rip off a Doctor Who story that's about 70,000 times better than it is, and 70,000 times more clever than it is. So yeah, the series ends on a whimper. Visually, it's very impressive, and editorially, it's doing very well. Again, though, I kind of prefer... To me, it looks a little too good now. It doesn't quite feel like Doctor Who. Yeah, at the end of the day, Series 11... I know some people love it, and I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. Let me be clear on this when I'm ranking these. This is my opinion. This isn't me stating objective fact. This isn't me setting the record straight for all the people who don't know. I'm not like that. This is just my own personal opinion, and my opinion is just my opinion. It does not invalidate your opinion, just as your opinion does not invalidate my opinion. I know I have several people who watch my videos. They like the Whittaker era. They like the 13th Doctor. I know Naomi's a big fan of the 13th Doctor. A couple of my subscribers, like Bobby, I know loves Series 11. I am in no way calling you wrong or invalidating your opinions. You like what you like. That's the great thing about Doctor Who. Has been running so long. There's so many Doctors, so many eras. There's something there for everybody. And if you like Series 11, you win. Smart, 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 smart. But for me personally, and speaking for myself, and I am unanimous in this, I don't care for it. I think it's the worst series and season Doctor Who has ever done. So, I want to know what you think of Series 11, so comment down below and let me know. Other things to do, click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon if you like what I do and would like to subscribe to what I do. There's a link to that down in the description below. Check that out. I certainly appreciate it. And I really appreciate one of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, for all of his support. I really do appreciate you hanging in there with me, Steve. And I want to say thank you to all of my other patrons as well. I appreciate all of you. I also have a P.O. box. If there's anything you would like to send me, anything you think I might like, or something you want to see me review, shoot that on to me. I also have a link to my Amazon wish list down there as well. Check that out. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.